I got a question for you. What is the most frugal home improvement project? What renovations give you the biggest increase in equity for the lowest upfront cost? That's what we're going to explore through a HomeLight article today. Good morning and welcome to the HopeFilled Financial Podcast. My name is Jay Disberger, your one and only HopeFilled financial coach, and I'm happy that you're here with us today. To get things started, I want to tell you about one of the most recent projects that I've had to undertake here at my home, and that is going to be replacing my furnace. We've talked about it before because, well, the old furnace's fan went out and the bearing that was on the inducer fan started squealing. It was quote unquote being unbearable, which made it hard for me to record the podcast as I'm directly above where the furnace is in my house. It wasn't an ideal situation, and the furnace was getting old. It was older than the house. I'm pretty sure that the people who built this house got a deal on that furnace by buying like the old model off the clearance rack. The furnace was over 30 years old. I ended up putting some feelers out there and pinging a few contractors. The first one who came over to look at it and who diagnosed that the inducer fan is what was squealing quoted me an astronomical number for a furnace that had all stainless steel guts to it. I think they were looking somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000 for a new furnace unit. The AC unit wasn't included at all. We are just talking about the gas burning portion of the unit and the fan. That's a lot of money for a home that I don't plan on keeping for more than 10 years. Anyway, I got a second opinion and found a unit that is high efficiency, so it's going to help reduce my utility bills. We talked about that on a recent episode, but it was way cheaper than the first, bells and whistles option that was quoted to me. It was going to cost me less than $6,000 to have that furnace installed. And I tell you what, if I'm a home buyer looking to buy this home, I really just care about the efficiency of the unit and how new it is. I could care less about how industrial it is and how many bells and whistles are in it. The fact that both units were going to be high efficiency meant that I was going to get more bang for my buck out of the cheaper unit. Not only when it came to the value that I'm going to be seeing as a homeowner, but the value that I'm going to see when I sell this home and the equity comes to be realized. And thinking about a future move got me wondering, what renovations or improvements should I focus on my home that would maximize the additional equity realized by undertaking a project for the least amount of dollars put into it? And that's what we're going to cover in the main topic. For the main topic today, we're going to be reacting to an article from HomeLight.com. And this article is What Upgrades Increase Home Value? 25 High Return on Investment Improvements That Buyers Love. Note that it's for buyers because, equity is only going to be worth it if someone's willing to pay that for your house. Even if you're not looking to sell, this can be a valuable approach. If you're simply trying to maximize the value of your home for the least amount of financial expense. The article begins by saying, as you plan your next renovation project, it's more critical than ever to know what upgrades increase your home value. The world looks much different in 2024 than it did a couple years ago, and our homes have been at the center of a massive change and re-evolution. Home offices and outdoor spaces, for example, are now extremely coveted features. Our newest list of home improvements that add value takes these recent trends into account and incorporates specific product suggestions updated for 2024. Using extensive surveys of HomeLight agents, expert data from the National Association of Home Builders, NAHB, and out-in-the-field expertise from top agents such as Gina Baum of Northern Maryland, we've put together a list of the 25 home upgrade recommendations so that you can make better decisions about where to invest your money. Let's jump forward to upgrade number 1, and that's going to be convert or build a home office. I love having a home office. I record everything for this podcast in my home office. I work from home 100% of the time. I do my day job from this office. And for me, at this house, it's a corner office. That's why I have blinds behind me all the time. I love having a corner office in my home. It's cool. The article says this. An Upwork study projects that 22% of the workforce will be working remotely by 2025. Buyers care about a home office more than they care about whether the home is move in ready or is of minimum square footage. In some cases, buyers are seeking out multiple home offices. Creating new space or dedicating existing space to a home office is likely going to be a good investment if you're in the market with a decent amount of people who telecommute. Creative options could be converting a walk in closet into a functioning office, or, on the more expensive end, building a backyard ADU, accessible dwelling unit, or extension to make room for one. I'm very happy to see that this is the first one on the list. I do now, when I'm looking for a home, make a home office basically mandatory. And if there isn't something that they call the home office or the study in a home, I'm looking for an extra bedroom that I can use as a home office. Let's move on to number 2, which is finish your basement. If you have an unfinished basement, you might have room for storage, but you're missing out on livable space for future buyers to enjoy, whether as a home office or space for entertainment. Finishing a basement is a potential ROI of 70 to 75%, according to data from Angie.com. That's a lot. You're adding more heated square footage, bumping up your house into another price bracket. Even among home ranges from $250,000 to $400,000, an unfinished basement can add about $15,000 to $20,000 to the home's value. If it's finished, the basement can add even more, up to $40,000 or $50,000 of the asking price. Finishing a basement will run you $18,400 on average, but can cost up to $34,000 depending on your square footage. This project involves installing flooring, drywall, and paint, but it creates a valuable blank canvas for potential buyers. My home had a partially finished basement where half of it was finished out almost all the way. It's missing a few touches. It's not finished well, but I used the space for entertainment purposes and I'm happy with it. And I definitely think it added to what I was willing to pay for this home. Let's move on to number 3. Open up the floor plan to show design possibilities. Home buyers want to feel like their home has been customized for them. While they are going for smaller homes, according to NAHB, they still want square footage to reflect their personality and make it appear different from their neighbor's home. While an open layout allows a new homeowner to customize to their heart's content, our experts recommend consulting with a contractor or interior designer before swinging a sledgehammer. The NAHB points out that a home still needs structural support and definition between spaces. Plus, some architectural styles, such as two-story or colonial houses, aren't agreeable to this change. All right, number 3, I would say isn't for everyone, but it's not a bad idea, as long as you have someone who can recognize a load-bearing wall before it's taken out. The next few upgrades are going to be about curb appeal. Number 4 is add a stone veneer to the front of your house. To summarize, it says here that it can cost a lot of money to add some stone veneer, but you can recover 80.2% of that expense at the resale of the home. Next one is get a door of steel. Statistics show that replacing an existing entry door with a steel one costs over $2,000 and can recover 188.1% of that expense at resale. Buyers appreciate metal's energy efficiency, low maintenance, and cold blocking powers. Yeah, one of my pet peeves as a homeowner is a door that has a lot of energy leaking through it. Number 6, and I've heard this one before, is replace your garage door. You see, the garage door is probably one of the highest ROI things you can change about curb appeal. It says that a new garage door costs an average of $4,513, but can recoup almost 200% of that in the resale value. And I think this has to do with the garage door being such a focal point if you can see it from the curb and being something that gets beat up relatively easily, and being something that's much easier to replace than the siding on your house. Let's move on to number 7, which is update your mailbox and house numbers. This is something I need to do personally. My mailbox is a little wobbly. Believe it or not, small touches like this grab buyers' attention. The mailbox kills me. You have a beautiful home and they have a dented up old mailbox. So when you pull up, you think, okay, what's inside if you can't even replace the mailbox? A standard size mailbox costs about $35. If you need a post, it's going to be like $69. As for house numbers, a black 4-inch nail, you got $2.93 per digit. One thing that caught my eye when I bought my home is that the house numbers were painted on the curb at the edge of the driveway with a little American flag and a K-State Power Cat. The paint is now almost completely worn off from the curb, but I do plan on repainting it because I thought it was cool. Let's move on to number 8, which is touch up or redo your exterior paint. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but just tell you from my personal experience, this makes a big difference. If the siding looks worn and if the paint looks like it's flaking or falling apart, I don't think the home's been well cared for. When I bought the home I'm in now, they had paid for someone to paint the whole exterior of it. They may not have painted it well, but it was a fresh coat of paint and it made the home feel way newer and way more valuable than it may have actually been. It was a good move on the seller's part. Moving on to number 9, it's adding a parking spot. If you're in a city or a more crowded area where street parking is at a premium, look into adding a concrete pad for $3,600 to $7,200. It's a huge upgrade. It doesn't cost that much, but it does bring value. That's a good idea unless you live in an HOA like mine, where if you leave your vehicle on the driveway, if you leave it outside of the garage for more than 72 hours, you'll get a fine. As long as that rule's in place, I don't think adding a parking space to my current home would add much value, even though my in-laws would appreciate it. Back to the article, the next few are going to be upgrades that enhance outdoor living. Number 10 is add a deck or patio. A deck or patio is a common staple of a home's backyard living area. It is a place to dine, drink, entertain, or work outdoors for a few hours. According to the NAHB, it is even the top home feature buyers want in 2024, tied with a laundry room. A backyard wooden deck gives you a 45 to 55% ROI, and you can build a deck for around $3,600 to $7,200. So it's likely that you can break even or even see a positive return on this project. I know my neighbor just recently poured a new concrete patio in his backyard. Looks gorgeous. Where we live right now, wood patios and decks rot. So if you don't want to deal with replacing them, concrete might be the way to go, even though that deviates from the tip here. Number 11 is put in a fire pit or outdoor fireplace. That's cool. Regarding what features buyers like to see in an outdoor space, 17% of top real estate agents Home Light surveyed cited a fire pit as one of their top priorities. This provides a cozy setup for friends and family to gather even when the evenings get chilly. I might not have a built-in fire pit outside, but I have a little metal one that I have sitting on the corner that might be a cheap way to make it look like you have a fire pit by simply placing one in an area that looks like it's designated for it and you don't have to put as much money into it. Just an idea. Number 12 is going to be go for the pool and hot tub combo. On the fence about installing a pool, if you can get on a pool building company's busy schedule, the ROI of this project has increased in the last couple years, which may help you justify the cost. A pool may cost you $41,234 on average. However, so you'll need to weigh your individual costs and personal enjoyment for this feature against the added resale value in your market. I'm going to add here that having a built-in pool, an in-ground pool, can also turn some home buyers sour. Pools are expensive to maintain, and thus some frugal buyers may not like them at all. For example, my wife says that a pool in the backyard of home, even if everything else works, is a deal breaker. Number 13 says dress up your front porch. A front porch can be adorned with rocking chairs or other cozy seating, serving as a place to have a quiet cup of coffee. Show buyers how a front porch could be used. And this one here can be done very cheap if you hit up a thrift store and you decorate some of the outdoor furniture stuff. We ended up, when we bought our home, having a couple rocking chairs that the previous owner left. I don't know if they used them at all. I think they just got a couple splintery rocking chairs from either the side of the road or a thrift store, spray painted them black, and put them there so that you could see, hey, the porch we have here is a nice place to sit. And it did change my perception from the curb. Number 14 is cook under the stars with an outdoor kitchen. Sounds expensive, but I'm intrigued. Once viewed as an add-on reserved for luxury homes, these days it appears everybody wants an outdoor kitchen. In addition to a built-in grill, outdoor kitchens often include features such as cabinets, a bar, a sink, standard kitchen appliances, and sometimes a flat-screen TV. They can be lavish or basic, depending on the budget. For me personally, it sounds like it could become a bit of a maintenance nightmare if you put too much stuff outdoors. I like to have a place to cook or grill outside, but I don't necessarily need it to be permanent for me to perceive value. But that's just me. The next few are going to be upgrades that add style for less in key rooms. 15 is swap out your fixtures in the kitchen and bathrooms. New faucets, drawers, knobs, and pulls and matching styles give a room a modern, cohesive look. An inexpensive upgrade that can have a big impact on buyers because everything feels new. I ended up pulling this one when I sold the condo back in Utah. The faucets that were in the bathroom we had there were original from the 80s and they were significantly out of date. You could tell they were old just looking at them. And the shower head, same story. So we replaced the shower head and we replaced the little faucets in the bathroom, made it feel like a whole new room. Although trends vary nationwide, try brushed nickel and matte type stainless steel fixtures for a contemporary style, or oil rubbed bronze if your home has more classic lines. I personally like the oil rubbed bronze look. Moving on to number 16, do a minor remodel rather than an upscale one. A minor remodel of a 200 square foot kitchen, including replacing cabinet fronts, countertops, and appliances, costs about $27,492, but recoups about $26,406 at resale. According to the Remodeling 2024 Cost versus Value Report, that's about 96.1% ROI compared to recouping about 38% of the expense of a major upscale kitchen overhaul. Granite countertops often fetch a higher asking price. On average, granite countertops cost about $3,250, with granite tiles at $5 to $15 per square foot. That's another option. Likewise, a mid-range remodel of a 5x7 bathroom for $25,251 recoups about 73.7% of its cost at resale. Compare that to an upscale bathroom overhaul, which has an ROI of 45.1%. Save even more money by refreshing your cabinetry with paint if they have old cabinets that can be painted. For me, it makes a difference as a buyer to see that things are well taken care of or refreshed, but I'm the kind of guy who also wants to make sure that you're not just putting lipstick on a pig. Even though this will add to the value of your home, I'm personally concerned when I'm doing renovations on kitchens and bathrooms that things are done right and that stuff isn't going to break down on me in the long run. I'm the kind of homeowner who wants to do it right so it doesn't break on me and it doesn't break on the next guy. Moving on to number 17. Refinish your hardwood floors or revamp them with luxury vinyl planks. The cost recouped on updating flooring depends on your house's price range and current condition. Generally, if I get to a higher end home and the carpets are decent, I don't advise them to replace the carpets because I know that someone's going to come in and replace them with hardwood. If a seller doesn't want to take on the costs, some buyers and sellers will negotiate a flooring allowance. However, if you have pets or your flooring has seen better days, a few $1,000s of replacing it or revive it is well spent. Refinishing hardwood floors on average costs $1,883 or roughly $3 to $8 per square foot. After that, the article mentions paying for carpet cleaning. We ended up renting a steamer when we sold our condo in Utah, right after we did all the painting inside, and we steamed all the carpets. It made them look a lot newer, and it made the house just feel cleaner and more valuable at that. Let's move on to number 18. Paint in a neutral palette. I always think adding a fresh coat of paint inside, redoing the paint inside, adds a lot of value. And if you shop around, you can find painters who are relatively inexpensive. We'll move on. Upgrades that reduce maintenance hassle. 19 is going to be replace an aging HVAC. Hey, like the story. Often buyers ask when the HVAC was installed or replaced, as well as if the home has a tankless hot water heater. An average HVAC replacement costs about $7,500, which includes a new unit, installation, removal, and disposal. But this varies depending on the size and system. At the least, look into a multi-zone HVAC system, which ranks among buyers as the top 5 most wanted technology features. I think this is a good idea, and if you know that there are certain rooms in your house that don't heat or cool evenly with the rest of the house, you might look into solutions that allow you to rebalance the way that the system is feeding as opposed to getting a multi-zone system. You could probably get actuated dampers for the ductwork for various areas that are able to change based off of the temperature to increase or decrease airflow in troubled areas. Something like that might be less expensive than replacing the main unit. I'm also going to add here that if you have an aging air conditioning unit that uses antiquated refrigerant, replacing it is going to be wonderful on your ongoing maintenance cost because old refrigerant that is harder to find is very, very, very expensive per pound. Let's move on to number 20, install new siding. If your home siding looks run down or you need to replace it because the brand you have has been in the news for having durability or mold problems, you're facing a decent ROI. New fiber cement or vinyl siding recoups 80.2% of its cost at resale. This is something I'm struggling with right now as a homeowner. I've got some old board and batten wooden siding right now that is rotting on the bottom. So I want to replace the bottom with something like stone or brick or faux stone so that it's not going to rot there. I don't have to worry about it as a recurring maintenance issue. And I also think it'll improve the look of the home. Moving on to upgrades that make your home more efficient. I love efficiency. Remember, frugality is the intentional practice of prudent economy, and economy is all about maximizing your utility or happiness per dollar spent, saved, and given. Efficiency, when it comes to home renovations, fits nicely into the definition of economy. Number 21 is replace your old toilets with low flow fixtures. Toilet technology has improved since 1994. You don't say. When federal law restricted toilet tanks to 1.6 gallons per flush, GPF, low flow toilets now move less water more forcefully into the bowl with each flush. And the article has some recommendations, but if you're going to go with an extra low flow fixture, I want to encourage you to look at the reviews on how much power it actually has and if that particular unit has a recurring issue with plugging for current owners, because that could really get annoying. Moving on to number 22, put in energy efficient appliances and windows. Appliances, windows, and lighting with Energy Star symbols and federal certification that they reduce energy use without sacrificing performance are now a must have when energy bills and other essential expenses are skyrocketing. Yeah, if you currently have fluorescent or incandescent lights in your home, switching everything out for LED can save you a bunch, for example. Try appliances that are Energy Star certified, such as dryers, washing machines, dishwashers, and refrigerators. As for windows, the government's minimum energy efficiency standard for new windows varies nationwide based on your climate zone. Check out the U.S. Department of Energy's online guide to shop for your region's standards for stopping heat flow, blocking the sun's heat, and allowing a certain amount of light to enter the home. You are likely to recoup an estimated 65 to 75% of window replacement costs at resale. I struggle a little bit personally with replacing the windows because I think you can probably save a little bit of the heat loss that you're experiencing by caulking around the edges and making sure that the installation itself is a little tight versus going the full way and replacing the windows. But it's something to look into if you're having a difficult time with your utility bills or if the windows that you have are so old that they might be a turnoff to buyers. We're almost done. Let's move on to upgrades that cater to your area's trends and demographics. Number 23 says make your laundry room more accessible. A laundry room remains one of the top features that buyers want. 86% of buyers want, according to the NAHB. Some homes above $200,000 have a larger laundry room with a drop zone for children's backpacks and shoes, or connect the laundry room to the master bedroom instead of the kitchen. You're able to access your laundry room from your master bedroom, but you also can access it from your hallway, she says. Yeah, I've seen the trend where you have washers and dryers that are like in the master closet. And I've also seen the trend where the laundry room starts to double as more like a mud room. I know that a mud room was a real big must have for my mom as she was raising 6 of us. And she didn't like that we'd have to come through the main entry of the home, which was more difficult to keep clean versus a mudroom. So maybe the mudroom thing is going to be dependent on how many bedrooms are in your house, how likely a large family is to want to move in there. And if that's not an option, maybe there's another place in the home where you can add a dedicated mudroom type space. Number 24 is turn your shower into a walk-in. And the article continues to mention that a lot of families like to have the shower bath combo as they have little children, but older demographics like to have walk-in showers so they don't have to step over the bathtub lip. I again think this is dependent upon your home's number of bedrooms and how likely it is that a younger family or a growing family will be wanting to buy your home. Let's move on to the 5th tip, which is install smart features. like energy efficient appliances, programmable thermostats, security cameras, video doorbells, and wireless home security systems, have broad appeal, with higher income buyers appreciating these more often than not, the NAHB says. A smart thermostat can adjust your house's energy consumption depending on the latest gas or electricity prices, or even allow you to phone in instructions such as turning on the furnace before you get home. Prices range between $150 to $400 or more, plus installation from a trained electrician or HVAC contractor. All right, because I'm a little bit of a privacy nut, I'm going to say we looked into the smart thermostats because our utility company had a program where they would incentivize you to get a free or lower cost smart thermostat because they know that a smart thermostat can reduce the pressure on the electrical grid by reducing your consumption. The problem I personally had is it starts to memorize when you're gone. And if you have something like the Google Smart Thermostat, it kind of tracks when you're home, when you're not home, and it starts building a map, more or less, of location data. I didn't like the idea of something watching me that much to know when to turn things off and on. And for a smart thermostat to be efficient, you need to know you're not really going to see a cost saving unless the smart thermostat is able to adjust the set temperature for 4 hours or more while you're gone. If you're gone for less than 4 hours and the smart thermostat plays with things, you might even see an increase in your energy usage because letting the house warm up for a short period of time and then having the AC run extra hard to try to get the set temperature back down can be less efficient. From my experience as a professional that works on buildings, 4 hours is the tipping point. So I very much so prefer the approach that I explored in a recent episode when we talked about beating your utility bills. I'll go ahead and link to that episode in the description below. But I think that'll do it for us today. So until next week, until next Tuesday, budget bravely and enjoy your hope-filled financial future.